College degrees are worth nothing. This is a statement that I have been scared to make. I've been very cautious of making that for a very long time. And I think the big part is because I just didn't have enough proof to make it confidently. But now that I have gone the route of not going to college, and then seeing people my age, and I'm going to bring up a very clear example. And just seeing that comparison of people who do go to college and then people who don't, it's very clear that nowadays, unless you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, which most people they say they want, but they don't actually want it, it's just the path that is kind of safe out there for them, right? But like, most people don't even know what they want, and they just go to college, get that degree, and then they sit at home saying, the market's kind of bad, dude. So I had an interaction recently. Actually, I was buying this couch because I was just moving into this office. And I had an interaction with a guy. It was at a college campus. We found this couch. It was a pretty good deal. And so we went over there. And I met that guy. And, I kind of just got to talking to him a little bit. And he said that he went to the college campus around there. And, he lived on campus. And then, he went to that college there. And I was like, oh, what did you get your degree in? He says, it's relationship management. I was like, what does that even mean? It's like, well, it's kind of like sales and marketing. I was like, oh, okay. Fair enough. So how is, like, did they promise you a job? Like, what's that looking like? He's like, yeah, dude, I don't know. Like, it's just like, I've been looking for a job. I'll take anything at this point. Like the job market is just kind of sucks right now. I was like, really? The job market sucks? Like, I'm pretty sure there's like thousands of business owners that would genuinely take an actually good sales guy. Like, there's literally hundreds of them, like in our area. Like, there's hundreds of those business owners that will take a sales guy under like a really good commission. But the problem is not that the job market sucks, is that you're useless, dude. You're useless to society. And like, I wanted to, obviously I'm not going to say that to his face because how is that going to make a friend? But like, I just want to say this. The job market doesn't suck. You're just not good enough. You go to college to learn sales. And another reason why this got me so pissed off is because I remember there was a time that I was working as just a plumbing apprentice, and I wanted more. And I started researching online, like, what is something that I need to get into? Like, I want to make more money. And so eventually I realized that I need to learn sales. That's the number one step. You have to be able to sell. And so I was like, okay, so I need to find a sales job. And mind you, I have never even made a resume. I didn't know how to make a resume, how to find a job, none of that. Within a span of a month, from like, I want to make more money. Actually, it was like a month and a half. Within the span of that month and a half, I went from, I want to make more money, to having a sales job. And they trained me and they paid for the training. And then I excelled at it too. But that was after, obviously. But all this to say, it's like, I did not go to college. I finished high school early and I just went straight to work. And then I wanted it so bad that I was like, I don't care what this takes. I'll just search up. And I was like, I went searching up like, how to build a resume, and then I remember like spending like half a day just making that resume, and then like studying all of that. And I was like, I don't know how to do any of this, but I'm going to learn. I'm going to figure it out, because if somebody has done it, it means that there's some information out there for me to also do this. And it just got me so pissed, because I have never had a job. Like I had a job. It's just that I never had to go and apply for the job. It was always kind of like, family introduced me, that whole type of deal. It was all connections. But I just went out there like total strangers. Apply. Come to the interview. Never had an interview in my life. Scared, just like, a little bit nervous and everything. Just going into it. And the guy is sitting there without a job. Like, he graduated like probably 3 months ago, right? 3 months ago, you're sitting without a job. And the job market sucks. I was so furious. I mean, I'm still furious at the guy. How? That's ridiculous. And it's the fact that college degrees are useless if you don't want anything. Because the truth is, he just doesn't want it. If he genuinely wanted that sales job, here's me. Like, I went to that sales job. I learned all the skills and everything. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not really, like, the commission is not good enough. I could use this skill, and and I just went back into plumbing, and I used those sales skills in plumbing, and I have gotten a lot better. And then I actually learned the product. I have learned the service, and to explain to people what is actually the problem and everything. And I have gotten even better after that. And then I learned a little bit of marketing and all of that. It's just, it truly pisses me off to see all of this incompetence, and then people blaming circumstances for it. You couldn't have had it any better. And by the way, the guy was good looking and everything. Like, he could have done exceptionally well in sales. There's so many, and by the way, sales jobs most of the time are commission based. Like, people are willing to take basically anybody who's willing to learn. Because if you don't perform, they just don't pay you. And so it's so ridiculous. I was so furious at that time. I was really furious. Just after meeting him, and driving home from that interaction was just, I was just kind of thinking about it. I was like, there's no way. And that's just one example. I mean, I talk to a lot of people. That's not the only example. I tell people, do you want, I don't think you want to be a lawyer. I think you just want to make money. Like, you say that you want to do all this, you want to be a philanthropist and, take on pro bono cases. But in reality, it's just that your parents are paying for the college. You don't want to take responsibility for your actions. Because if you actually chose to go your path and like, okay, I'm going to go and just be an apprentice. By the way, people pay to colleges. You can go to a business owner, like a smaller business owner, and just be like, I'm going to work for free. Can I just learn from you? And if you talk to 50 business owners, if you talk to 100, one of them is going to say yes. I guarantee you. And by the way, after a year, there's no way you're not going to actually learn any skill that would be valuable to the next business owner. And you can talk to the next business owner and be like, hey, I will help you with this. Can you teach me this? Like, there's just so many different ways to do this. It's just that people just don't want it. And they either don't want the outcome enough. They don't care about those goals. They say they want it, but they don't actually want it. which also makes me really mad. It's like, just admit that you don't want it. Stop lying to everybody. Or, and it could be, or it's the fact that there's a clear path that's set out for them. It's easy. You don't have to do any brain work. You don't have to take any responsibility. Your parents told you, oh, just go there. Just do that. Which is like, that's most of the time, that's what people do. Just go there, just do that. And like, you might get lucky if your parents are like, yeah, you need to go to work and you just need to go make money. And, in those cases, you might actually succeed. But like, if nobody's putting pressure on you, if your parents are just like, yeah, just go to college, whatever, you don't have to make any money. We'll pay for the college. Like, no, you're cooked. Because most people are just not willing to take the responsibility. Because if they fail, now it's their fault. But anyways, that's just something I had to share because I just had, like, after that, I just had so much anger and so much emotion that I just had to express. But it was also like very articulated. So I just felt like it needed to be said. Degrees, for the most part, are worth nothing at this point. And I have said this like 2 years ago, but now I can say this with 100% certainty. Because I took this route and I can see myself learning all these things. Like people go there to learn business. Like, how do you learn business? Business is providing value to other people in exchange for money. Anything that's not doing that is not business. Like, you can learn components of business, you can learn marketing, but in order to actually learn it, you have to have a vehicle to practice on. And almost nobody in college has a business to practice on. So there's so much better ways to go about this. There's so much better ways to learn and actually excel rather than just go to college. Like it's genuinely, at this point, I think for most people, a college degree is worthless. And the only reason they take is because they don't want to take responsibility, and they have a path laid out for them, and it's just way less brain work to just follow it without thinking.